All right. Hey, Vikings fans, welcome in to another episode of the Skol Hop. I'm Evan.
And I'm Austin.
We're just a couple of dudes from Iowa. We like drinking beer, talking about the Vikings.
Yeah, and the beer we drank tonight was another great beer from Field Day Brewing. It was fantastic.
Awesome beer. We also talked about a current Viking who cracked the top 100 list of the NFL's top 100.
Yep, and we mentioned upcoming preseason games and if it'd be kind of worth it to even attend as a family.
Yeah, and I'm kind of eyeballing a game, so hopefully it's worth it. We'll see. I'll let you know. But we also talked about things we hate about sports, like just our least favorite things about sports in general.
Yeah, because we notoriously hate sports. But grab a cold one. Join us for episode 95 of the Skol Hop. Skol. We just want to say thank you to show sponsor Big Top Ventures for sponsoring today's episode. If you are looking to take an all-inclusive trip to a Mexican or Jamaican all-inclusive resort, go ahead and reach out to our friends at Big Top Ventures. As always, we'll throw it up on screen here. I'm wearing their shirt right now. It's one of my favorite shirts, actually. But yeah, send them an email to bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. That's bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. And just let them know you're looking to take a trip, and they will send you all the information you could ever want. Maybe too much information, but all good information. And yeah, you'll get your first steps on a perfect all-inclusive vacation. And Evan, you may think I'm talking to the listeners, but no, I'm really talking to you because you need to book this trip, sir.
I've already told you my plan.
Oh, I thought
I've already told you my plan. It's in the works.
You've had several plans, and they just never happen.
Well,
it's okay if you don't want to go to the Caribbean and
it's not that I don't want to go.
Drink all you care to. That's fine if you're not into that awesome kind of thing, but you should totally do it.
Patience.
We're not doctors. We don't have patience.
Patience. PATIENCE.
No. Oh, okay. Yeah. That might be right. I think it's spelled the same.
No. Patience, like doctor, is PATIENTS.
Ooh, okay.
Patience
with
a T.
In post, you should like
spell that out.
Yeah. Have the letters come up on screen.
I do teach English to high schoolers, so if I can't spell the difference between patience, like doctor's patience, and having patience, like waiting for good things to come to you, then I probably shouldn't be doing what I do for a living.
Yeah. So. Well, I do not teach English to high schoolers or anybody. My kids have learned English just by being in the house, but I wouldn't say I've taught them that. But anyways, if you're looking to book a trip, reach out to Big Top Ventures. They'll hook you up.
We should drink some beer.
We should. Does it sound like we need to drink some beer?
Yeah, it does.
It's been a week already.
I'm excited about you trying this one because last week when we went to record our episode, we went to grab this particular beer and it was warm. And I wondered if our little mini fridge over here behind you had kind of crapped out. I've had that mini fridge since college, so I wasn't surprised that it was done, but anyways, good news, the fridge is fine. It has been revived, and these are now cold, and I went to the store this last week and picked up more of these because I wanted to try it so badly before the episode. So what we have is Field Day Brewing Company out of North Liberty, Iowa. We tried a beer of theirs last week.
Yeah, second week in a row.
So yeah, we're double dipping here with Field Day. This is their double decocted Czech Dark Lager.
Do we have to blur that out, I guess?
It's a mouthful for sure. But it's a dark lager, like it says. Based on what I've learned from friend of the show, Forrest, lagers are brewed differently than most other beers. It's a longer process, and it's a very cold process throughout the whole thing, which is a good thing.
Well, these cans are frosty.
These cans are very cold. I think I cranked the fridge up a little bit just to ensure that these would be really cold.
I hope things in there don't explode. But I'm really excited to try this. We had, was it the Bromance last week?
Yeah.
The hazy IPA from Field Day. If this is anything up to the quality of that beer last week, then this is going to be a good one. I'm really excited. We need to get to Field Day. We said it last week, and we'll do it sometime. They're a little ways out of the way for us, but not impossible to get to. So Field Day, thank you so far for making good beers, and we will be visiting you sometime soon, I promise.
Yeah, for sure. This is really dark, by the way, so if you're watching us on video, you can see how dark it is. You cannot see through this beer at all. It's got a great head on it. Both of us had pretty decent pours with some good head retention there. I think there's nothing left to do but to Skol it up and try it.
Skol.
Skol. Yep. It kind of has vibes of the nut brown ale that we brewed not too long ago.
Oh yeah, it's not too different. Super good.
It's very good.
It's a really dark looking beer, but the flavor, it's pretty refreshing. It's kind of a light flavor, refreshing.
And I think that's the lager characteristic of it, but it's also got like roasted malt in there. It's got some earthy tones, but there's a little bit of like some sweetness too, like some caramelly tones.
Yeah, this is a beer's beer. I like this a lot.
I love it. When I tried it a few days ago, I'm like, yep, that's a good one.
Did you drink the ones that we've been saving for the show, and then you had to go out and replenish them?
You might think I did, but no, these are actually the ones that we were going to try last week.
Sure.
So actually, I could have fallen on the sword, and I could have had the beer that got warm, cooled it off again, and had that.
I don't think that would have been bad.
But
I think there's a stigma to that. I think you think it's going to ruin the beer, but I don't know if it will. We'll have to ask friend of the show, Forrest.
Yeah, I think certain beers it can kind of throw off the flavor a little bit. But interestingly enough, Iowa is, excuse me, it's pretty unique in that, like, if you go to pretty much any store, you can buy cold beer anytime, any day. Minnesota, you can't buy beer at all on Sunday.
I think they pulled that back.
Did they?
I think a few years ago they did.
Well, I know even up to a few years ago, US Bank Stadium was the only place you could buy cold beer on Sunday. If you wanted to drink beer on Sunday, you'd have to buy it Saturday night or before, you know.
Yeah, some of these states have some insane laws.
I've been in Indiana a few times, and they sell warm beer. This is what I was getting to. They sell warm beer at gas stations. So you can walk in and buy a 30 rack of warm Busch Light off of the floor, and then you got to bring it home and wait for it to get cold.
Do they really think if someone is gonna be an alcoholic and someone's gonna just, I don't know, be a degenerate, do they really think a warm Bud Light is going to deter them from getting that buzz? Some of these alcohol laws are so antiquated.
It's strange. But like we had to go to a liquor store to get cold beer.
Well, a lot of states are like that. Like you have to go to like an ABC store or something.
Yep.
We've mentioned his name already a few times, so it sounds a little cheesy. But friend of the show, Forrest, I'm pretty sure he and his family just took a trip recently to, I think, South Carolina. And he was saying wherever they were staying had one of those like ABC stores, or, you know, a liquor store that was like that, and it had different hours for different halves of the store. And it was like split in half, and one half sold liquor and spirits and stuff, and the other half sold beer and wine. And the beer and wine part was open later and had different rules than the liquor and like spirits part, which I don't know, these states are weird. Have you ever been burned, like, visiting somewhere and like, oh, crap, like, I can't buy alcohol right now?
I did go to, this has nothing to do with state laws. In fact, this state probably has some of the loosest laws. But it had more to do with you needed a membership at this store.
What?
I went to a Costco in Wisconsin, and rumor had it at the time that you could still buy alcohol at Costco without a Costco membership. So we were on a fishing trip in Wisconsin, and we were like, well, let's go get some beer. And none of us had a Costco membership, and we got all the way to the checkout counter. Like, they didn't check us on the way in.
Weird.
We picked up the beer, we headed to the counter, and they're like, can we see your membership? And we're like, none of us are members. years we thought you could just buy beer because I think at one point there was like a legal battle, like they were like some of the alcohol producers were saying like, no, you can't require a membership to buy our products.
Interesting.
And I think I don't know if that's still the case or not, but anyways, we tried it didn't work. I have been turned away trying to buy beer legally, and responsibly trying to buy beer, but it's because we didn't have the membership.
Interesting. So just recently my family and I, we were in Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Tennessee area. And I guess the county, I think it's Pigeon Forge County or Gatlinburg County, whatever county that's in, is technically a dry county.
Oh, really?
But because that area that we were in is such a big like tourist area, Dollywood and stuff like that, they have their own rules and you can buy alcohol pretty freely there just because it's a tourist area.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's all these
outside of the touristy area, it's dry.
It's technically a dry county, which is wild to me. Like I get trying to get people drinking responsibly or not drinking at all if that's the most responsible thing, but for states and lawmakers to try to craft it so that they are choosing people's morality is kind of crazy.
Definitely. Well, we're kind of in this like lull of the off season a little bit. There's not a ton of like newsworthy things. There were some like somewhat splashy trades that happened. Like I know Jalen Ramsey is on the move going to Pittsburgh. Is that right? Jalen
Ramsey and Jonnu Smith are both going to Pittsburgh in exchange for like Minka Fitzpatrick and like a couple other picks. There's some other picks involved with that trade.
It seems pretty obvious that the Steelers are trying to load up for what appears to be Aaron Rodgers' kind of final hurrah.
Yeah.
He's even kind of come out and said, this is it. Yeah. This is my last season. But other than that, there's really not a lot of news, even league wide, much less the Vikings. It's just been pretty quiet, which is a good thing at this point, I think.
Yeah, now, we say it every year, if your players are in the news, it's because, Jordan Addison got arrested for speeding or something like that.
Right.
Like you don't want to be in the news right now pretty much because it's usually negative.
Yep.
But the NFL, they did start their annual top 100 list. And I don't know if it's always this way or if this year they're doing it a little bit different, but it seems like, so they just announced the first few players yesterday or a couple of days ago. And number one won't be announced until right before week 1 of the NFL season. A couple of months.
That's crazy.
So is it going to be like weekly or every few days they're going to announce a few? Because this first announcement, they did 100 through 97.
So we've got 4 names.
Yeah, so far. And
one
of those names is a Viking.
Yeah. Yep. So number 98 on the top 100 is none other than Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
So you've got it listed out here, which is nice. He was number 33 in 2020, number 30 in 21, and he got all the way up to number 64.
Down to
64. I'm going the wrong way in 2023. So he's no stranger to the top 100 list.
Keeps going down though. It's kind of crazy.
None of those seasons that you have listed were Viking seasons.
Yeah, those were all Packer seasons.
I don't think he made the list last year in his first year with the Vikings.
Well, this was the list for the last year.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah. So his first opportunity as a Viking, he's on the list. It's at 98, which is just squeaking in, but that's still pretty good. I think he had a pretty good season, better than I expected. I was pretty vocal on this podcast this time last year that I didn't hate the signing. I thought he was going to be okay, but like I also assumed he was just going to get injured and he'd be a fun tool for a few weeks and then he'd be out for a lot of the season, which still could happen this year, but I'm happy to say that I was wrong about last year. He did miss weird pockets of time, but I don't think he missed like a full game ever. I think there was a couple of games where he played a little bit, but still played, and he had like over 1,100 yards rushing. So for a 30-year-old running back, that's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Aaron Jones, but the Vikings added Jordan Mason to the rushing attack this year. So I really like the Vikings run game, and I like the fact that they bolstered the offensive line to make the run attack as effective as it possibly can be. And I don't think we've seen that really from the Vikings since probably like 2021-22 with Dalvin Cook, and Madison was backing him up.
Yeah, I think Dalvin's for his rookie season, the Vikings also had Latavius Murray. So I think it was those two for a good 2 or 3 seasons. But yeah, the Vikings, since Adrian Peterson was the running back, and even the year before with Chester Taylor, they've been pretty notoriously, like, if their run game is successful, it's mostly because one guy is pretty good.
Yep.
And I think since Adrian Peterson was drafted, there was that a full season that he missed, that the backfield pretty much was made up of Jerick McKinnon, Matt Asiata, and maybe another guy or two, and that's the closest we got to like a running back by committee. And that wasn't, a great running season for the Vikings. But I really think, and I think you were alluding to this, with the re-signing of Aaron Jones for, I think, a solid 2 more years, and the trade and sign of Jordan Mason, this Vikings running game should be a lot better, especially with the beefed up offensive line that they did this offseason. So nice to see some recognition for a Viking early on in the NFL top 100. I'm okay with him being listed at 98. Maybe he was better than some of the running backs that will be listed, but I'm okay with that. It's fine. What are your thoughts? Do you think he should have been ranked better, or is this pretty good for him?
I think the list is kind of subjective.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know who in the NFL corporate offices gets to contribute to these decisions, but, like, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pound the table and say Aaron Jones deserves to be higher on the list, whatever. Blah, it doesn't matter. Obviously, I don't even know how it works because I didn't know that this is based on last year's performance.
Yeah, this is...
I thought it was maybe more of a, like, predictor for this season, but anyways, doesn't matter. I like it. I think it's great that he's in the top 100. I'm curious to know how many more players you think the Vikings will have in the top 100.
Yeah, based on the 2024 season, I think we could see guys like Sam Darnold. I think Justin Jefferson should absolutely be on there. I wouldn't be shocked to see Jordan Addison on there. Defensively, you got to throw in Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Harrison Smith, and last year's version of it for 2024, Harrison Smith was at 93. So he was another... almost didn't make the list, but
I wonder if even like Blake Cashman is in there. His absence was notable. When he was out, the Vikings struggled. They lost 2 games, and then when he came back in, they didn't lose until the end of the season and the first game of the playoffs. So, I agree with that list for sure. It'll be interesting to see. Do you think? I guess I'll answer my own question. It's kind of a dumb question, but J.J. McCarthy won't be on this list because he didn't play.
No, he didn't play a lick.
So,
but he could be a candidate for next season.
Do you think a year from now he's on the list?
I sure hope so. And I mean, I think a year ago, none of us were saying, "Oh, Sam Darnold, he'll be on the list." But now, I'll be surprised if Sam Darnold isn't in the top 40 of all the players this year, just because he played the most important position in football, and rightfully so earned a Pro Bowl honor. So you got to think he's in the top at least 40, if not better than that. But yeah, I think if JJ McCarthy has a year that we think, I think both of us think he could, he might get shafted a little bit just for inexperience, but if he has a Sam Darnold type season, yeah, absolutely, he should be on next year's list.
All right, so one more question here, and then we can move on. So there are 3 others that were announced in this first 4 of the top 100. So at 100, we had Ladd McConkey, wide receiver from the Chargers, right?
LA.
Number 99 is Leonard Williams, defensive lineman from Seattle. And then obviously Aaron Jones at 98. And then 97 is Drake London, receiver from the Falcons.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one of those three to be a Viking, who would you pick and why?
Man. Oh, that's tough. I like all three of them. I really think this current Vikings team, if not for the free agent signings of Jonathan Hargrave and, I should have my Vikings fanhood taken away. Who's the other defensive tackle they signed?
We're both going to kick ourselves when we know this.
While you look it up, if not for those two signings, I would have said Leonard Williams for sure. He's later part of his career, but he's still pretty solid. But really, I think I would have to go Ladd McConkey just to fit into that wide receiver room.
Are you thinking Jonathan Harris?
No. It's number 93.
Jonathan Allen.
Yeah, Jonathan
I
Allen.
knew it was Jonathan. Is it Allen or Harris? I can't remember.
I think a few minutes ago said Jonathan Hargrave. No, it's Javon Hargrave.
Javon Hargrave. Yeah.
But yeah, I think of those three, I'd take Ladd McConkey. What about you? What do you think?
I'm probably with you that, had the Vikings not done some work on the defensive line, Leonard Williams would have been the easy pick. But for sake of conversation, I'll go the opposite way. I'll go Drake London.
He had Kirk thrown to him for at least part of the season last year.
Yeah. He was, I think, Kirk's primary target when Kirk was playing relatively well before he got benched. So, I don't know. I don't know too much about Ladd McConkey or Drake London. I'll take the higher rated player, I guess. And also knowing that, if Kirk can figure out a way to develop chemistry with him, then I think a Kevin O'Connell coached quarterback could probably find chemistry with him as well. So I'll go with Drake London.
All right, well, there you go. It's all hypothetical, but you never know. I do know, I only said McConkey because I had him in fantasy last year, and out of nowhere, he just ended up being pretty decent. So,
yeah, there you go. Well, so I mentioned this before we started recording. You came to my house and we were actually watching a replay of a Vikings game, and I told you that I was considering getting some tickets to a preseason game this year. And actually my wife just texted me while we were sitting here and she's like, yeah, let's do it.
Nice. There you go.
We're going to put that plan in motion, hopefully. But going to preseason games, have you been to one, and is it worth it?
I have been, I believe, to one preseason game. It was not a Vikings game. It was friend of the show, Forrest, and also friend of the show, Brian, who we don't mention too often, but he's a big part of the show, actually. Brian, our friend, is a Colts fan, and I guess we have mentioned him before because we talk about how we watched the greatest comeback in NFL history with him, and he left at at halftime. But dear friend, he's a Colts fan, and he'd always wanted to go to Lucas Oil Stadium, and it just worked out timing wise. I think it was Anthony Richardson's rookie year. So was that last year or the year before? I think the year before. Just worked out that, hey, tickets are cheap. We're all free. Let's go to Indy and hit up this preseason game. And it worked out because Forrest, he's a Bears fan, and it was a preseason game between the Bears and the Colts. So it was fine. We were excited to see Anthony Richardson play a little bit, but shortly before the game, they announced he wasn't going to play. There was some, I don't know if it was a concussion or just a shoulder or some naggy thing that you're just not going to throw your rookie quarterback out.
Right.
It was a good time, though. It's fun because the stadiums, they still do like the game day experience to some degree. You're still getting the concessions. They still have the beer. It's still a football game.
Yep.
And then there's the aspect. There's almost a little fun aspect where it doesn't matter. Like, your quarterback, it wouldn't be fun, but like he could throw 6 interceptions and like, oh well,
Yep.
Like the score doesn't matter, the game doesn't matter. It's just basically pretty practice. So that's the only preseason experience I have outside of visiting a Vikings training camp 14 years ago. But that wasn't a preseason game. Have you ever been to a preseason game?
I have not been to a preseason game. I've only ever been to regular season games. mostly in Minnesota, both at the Dome. I've been to the Dome. I've been to TCF Bank, now Huntington Bank Stadium, and US Bank. So I've hit all three of the stadiums that the Vikings have played in my lifetime. And then I went to the one with you at Soldier Field, where the Vikings played the Bears in Chicago. So those are really the only games I've been to.
Okay.
But I'm really considering this. Tickets are super cheap.
I mean, they always are.
Like at the cheapest, I was looking before you came over tonight, like $5 a ticket. Like
for the nosebleeds.
Yeah. When can you get into an NFL game, albeit a preseason game, for $5 a ticket?
Take the whole family.
We're gonna spend more on travel and lodging than we will on tickets. But
absolutely. And you said you might even have family you could stay with up there.
Yeah. So I've got, young kids, and both of my girls are a little sensitive when it comes to those types of things.
We've got the noise and stuff.
We've got like the big headphones that we'll probably bring. But I'm thinking this is the perfect opportunity. It's not like this like do or die. It's not like going to be like the Minneapolis Miracle game where it's like it comes down to the last second and then the place just erupts and it's like 3,000 decibels and no one hears anything for the next week because you're just deaf from the experience. That would be awesome. I would love that. But I think this is a good first like on-ramp experience for my kids to go to a Vikings game.
Would it be their first game? Like not just Vikings game, but like
we've
NFL?
Taken them to some like UNI basketball games.
Oh, sure, yeah,
NCAA.
There's a difference.
Small market NCAA basketball games. Obviously, we've taken them to some like high school games and stuff, but they've never been in an NFL stadium before. So this would be new.
Yeah, my kid's first game was last season. The Vikings. I think it was the first game after the bye, Vikings-Lions game, where it was the Vikings' first loss of the year, one of their only losses of the year. It was an intense game. I was I was so focused on the game. My wife probably didn't enjoy it too much because she wanted to watch the game, but probably had to pick up some of my slack with helping the kids out. I think preseason game. Because you're right. Like if your kids aren't feeling it, or if you have to help out with the kids, then you can. You don't have to feel like you have to focus on every play. And I mean, you never know. Kids, you might just have to leave at halftime. And if you paid $5 for a preseason game, you don't really care too much. Like, I don't want to leave, but like it's fine.
Something that I really appreciate about US Bank Stadium is it's a wonderful fan experience. And even just like if you just sat in your seat the whole time, you're probably going to be just fine. The seats are comfortable. Every seat in the house has a decent view of the field. I mean, the farther up you get, the farther away you are, and the more you have to kind of squint or look up at the video board to see what's going on. But like I've been to plenty of other stadiums where that's not the case. Like I went to University of Nebraska and watched our alma mater, UNI, play Nebraska last year in football. It's bleacher seating. Everywhere but like maybe one section where you have to pay a ridiculous amount for tickets, and it was super hot. It was like one of the first games of the year, August. We're just like crammed in like sardines with all these people. Like literally, I was like this next to my wife watching.
And you didn't have kids with this.
And I didn't.
Can you imagine having them? Like
it was my
miserable.
wife and her parents, because her dad went to Nebraska, which is one of the reasons we wanted to go to that game in the first place. But it was hot. We were all sweaty. Your sweat is like intermingled with other people's.
That's disgusting.
And at one point, like, I think you and I was down so bad, I was like, let's just go walk the concourse. And then we were walking the concourse, and it's such an old historic stadium that it's small and narrow. And people in Nebraska are really nice. They're really friendly. No one's really a jerk. There was no like big brawl breaking out on the concourse or anything like you see other places. Interesting fact, this is a side note, Nebraska in Lincoln is going to sell alcohol for the first time this year.
Crazy.
Yeah. A lot of college,
all these rules and laws. That's crazy.
A lot of these college stadiums have been selling beer for a while now, probably close to a decade for some of the bigger ones. And Nebraska in Lincoln is just now jumping on that train. But anyways, it was just the whole day I kept thinking, like, this is really cool. I took some cool pictures. I was like, the history behind the stadium is cool. My father-in-law went here. He's really passionate about it. But it was just uncomfortable. Like, I don't like being that close to people all the time. And when the handful of times I've been to US Bank Stadium, I never felt that way. I never felt like I'm too close to people or like I'm like uncomfortable with the people that I'm around. Like, it's just everybody's got their own space. You got your own seat. Everybody has a seat back with armrests.
Even the nosiest of bleeds.
Way up there. So like, no, I think this would be the preseason, especially with, you know, such a low key game where nothing really matters. Like, if my kids need to just get up and walk around a little bit, like, all right, let's get up and walk around.
Yeah, you can miss a few plays. It's not detrimental to the season.
We could go look out, you know, the big windows on the one side and look at downtown. We could go on the other side and see all the high school football helmets from across the state of Minnesota. There's a lot of cool stuff to just walk around. So that could be a cool opportunity to just like see more of the stadium than I've seen when we've gone to games, because I've only ever been there with you.
Oh, interesting.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I've been there twice with you.
And I think the thing that makes preseason games actually worth it is the fact that they're so much cheaper.
Yeah.
Because I think, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure for like season ticket holders, they just pay a price and it comes with all the games, but like they don't get a break for the preseason games. Like, yeah, they get tickets to it, but like it's still part of their season ticket package, and it's not like it costs, you know, $1 extra for the preseason games. Right. It's still face value. So that kind of sucks. And concessions, they still cost what they cost, and that's a choice. You don't have to get concessions there, but like if you want to get a beer, it's still going to be like $10, $11, $12, $15, you know, like
it's going to be a little bit.
But yeah, I think as far as like introducing your kids to their first NFL game, preseason's probably the way to go and where it's at, especially if they're not old enough or invested enough to be passionate about, you know, having to see JJ McCarthy play. Because like, yeah, I mean, my 5-year-old, he was going to have fun regardless, or have a terrible time regardless. And he had fun, even though the Vikings lost. But like, it would have been 10 times cheaper to go to a preseason game than just a regular season nosebleed seat. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to explore a preseason game as well.
Yeah, maybe we can team up. Maybe I can convince you and your family to go too.
We'll have to have some dialogue about that.
All right, well, the last item here on our list, and we can kind of riff on this for a while if we want to. But you texted me this earlier today, and we kind of had like a fun little exchange that I kind of hope we can like recreate here. But it's a very general topic.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about things we hate about sports.
Yeah.
Like, let's get all the bad stuff out before the season starts, before before the Vikings start winning all these games with JJ McCarthy. Let's get all the negative stuff out. Let's get all the bad vibes out so that we can focus on all the good stuff when we get there.
All right. Well, I need to get my biggest pet peeve out of the way. And I know I'm annoying about this. Like, I know this is such like a, I don't know, boomer thing to say, but I actually hate when sports fans talk about their team and they say we signed Justin Jefferson.
I'm guilty of that.
We lost this game. And I probably have said, if you listen back to all 95 episodes of the Skol Hop and really listen to every word I've said, I may have said we at some point.
I'm sure you have at some point.
I hate it because it's like, I don't know, it makes you seem like you're too invested. And I get it. If anybody is too invested in their favorite team, it's me. But I've never played for the Vikings. You know, Kevin O'Connell has no idea I exist, and that's fine. But I wouldn't feel good saying like to a Bears fan after a Vikings-Bears game where the Vikings demolished them. I would never say like, "Oh, we beat you." Like, neither of us touched the field. Like, we're just watching a reality TV show here. So that's my biggest pet peeve in all the sports, is saying we when it comes to being a fan.
Is it different, like, if you were to talk about like our high school alma mater for example, because you actually played football for our high school.
Oh, I was on the team.
I don't care what your status was.
Play.
You did more than I did. You had a jersey and you went to practice and you were on the sidelines during the game. And I think
through
you played
sophomore year.
You played sometimes
in the fifth quarter when they had to let everybody play. No, I see what you're saying. Like, oh, our alma mater. Like, it is a little different to say we.
I'm saying, like, even now, like, if our high school team goes out and beats the local rival team, would you say, oh yeah, we beat you?
It would, in my head, it's a little different, and it would be like a different version of we the school, it's still not great.
We the Bulldogs.
Yeah, we the Panthers, like, yeah, I paid a lot of money to go to, the college that we went to. So in that sense, we are Panthers. We went to UNI, but like we didn't play on the football team. So like it's still kind of weird. It's a little different, but it's still kind of weird.
So I must really piss you off a lot of the time because I say we about almost if I'm recounting a game, I'm like, yeah, we were down by like 10 and then this happened and then we did this and then that happened and then we won and it was awesome.
I don't know. Maybe it doesn't annoy me as much for like amateur sports.
You're calling me an amateur?
Well, like high school and stuff.
I say that about the Vikings too.
Sure.
Though.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe if I'm already annoyed with somebody about them pretending to be a Cowboys fan and then they say we or something. I don't know. Either way, I know it annoys me. You don't annoy me most of the time, but
I will probably never ever not refer to any team that I follow as we. Like it's just part of my vocabulary.
All right. Well,
that's just.
You drive me nuts.
You're welcome.
We are not happy with that, Ev.
You know something I hate about sports?
Lay it on me. We've talked about my first one way too long.
I was thinking about this too when you texted me because I'm like, well, like, are we talking about like all sports, like everything, like all the way down to like my 8-year-old playing YMCA baseball? Yeah. Like, I kind of limited it to kind of like the big four in the pros.
Okay.
So pro basketball, football, baseball, hockey. And then I kind of extrapolated it out to like the big four-ish in college as well. That's kind of where my mind went. Like, what are the parameters? What's the box that we're talking in? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Something that I absolutely hate about sports is the state of Wisconsin. I hate it. There are a lot of good things that come out of Wisconsin. They make good beer.
Well, there's two good things that come out of Wisconsin.
They make good cheese curds.
Yeah, there you hit the list.
I've really only ever caught good fish in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm not a big fisherman, but yeah.
But I hate Wisconsin sports. I hate them. Every single one of them. All their teams.
You're a true Viking.
All their teams.
You and your team.
I don't care if you're a Badger, a Milwaukee Buck, a Brewer.
What else is there?
The team.
Do they have a hockey team?
The team that will remain unmentioned.
Oh, well, I would just assume them. Yeah, I get it. I like to rag on them for being drunken sconies as I take a sip of my beer on my beer-themed podcast. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think much more needs to even be said unless you have much more. Like, it's just the drunken sconies. We don't like that state.
I hate Wisconsin. I like going there. I like having a beer there. I like cheese curds.
You know what frustrates me the most about being a Vikings fan and being the state of Minnesota being a border state to Wisconsin is because the Packers existed for decades before the Vikings did. So you could be born and raised in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and because 400 years ago, or like 50 years ago, your grandpa was a diehard football fan and the closest one to him was the Packers. Like, my kids are Vikings fans because I'm a Vikings fan.
Yep.
Like, there are born and raised Minneapolis residents who are born and raised Packer fans because it's been in their family, because that was the closest team forever and ever.
I think therein lies the problem. I think you turn back the hands of time and go back to the 60s and the 70s, and I would venture to guess that most Packers fans originated out of Wisconsin in some way. this is going to tie into another one of my biggest pet peeves in sports. But Packer fans are all over the place now. Like, it is this rampant epidemic that is just sweeping our nation. You could be a Packer fan and live in Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah,
you could be a Packer fan and live in New York City. You could be a Packer fan, live in Phoenix, Arizona. They are literally all over the place, and it does not make sense to me. The only conclusion that I can come to is that they are bandwagon fans, or their dads were bandwagon fans, and the only reason they are Packers fans is because the Packers were good when Aaron Rodgers won that one Super Bowl, and
way back when. Or
they were, Packers fans, or their dads were Packers fans when Brett Favre won that one Super Bowl way back when, and I don't know. I cannot support this bandwagon mentality.
Well, leads, you said it was going to lead into one of yours. I think we're going to have the same one. I absolutely hate and totally disregard people when they are fans of a team that they've never been to that state. The Iowa born and raised diehard Cowboy fan. Why? You have no,
because they watched them win so much in the mid 90s.
But even that, and my brother-in-law for forever was a diehard, that I'm really laying it on thick there, a quote-unquote diehard
Sarcasm.
Patriots fan for his whole childhood, because they were winning Super Bowls left and right his whole childhood. So yeah, he was a diehard Patriots fan. Love you, Devin. But I just don't get it. And I really also,
is he still a Patriots fan?
I don't think he would fall on that sword anymore. I don't know. I haven't really talked to him about it.
They've been terrible.
Yeah. I think he would more say I'm a Hawkeye fan, so I like the few Hawkeyes that are around the league, and that's kind of annoying too. But it doesn't make any sense. The Yankees fans that don't even know where New York is on a map. Just pick a team close to where you live, and that's your lot in life.
Yep.
You moved to my hometown when we were children. I didn't have a team yet. Geographically, I should probably be a Bears fan. But you got to me before I even realized what football was, and that's where Vikings entered my heart.
We were definitely both very impressionable when we were 10 years old or whatever it was when we met. And we've said it before. We met at church, and you would hop in the car with my family after church and come hang out at my house. And what did we do at our house after church on Sundays? We watched the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's what we did. And
it infected me in the best way. If you want to hear more about our Vikings fanhood stories, listen to episode 1 of the Skol Hop. We really lay it out there.
Go all the way back.
Yeah. All right. I think it's your turn now. Any things you hate about sports?
Something that's becoming increasingly frustrating for me is the difficulty with which it's become to watch sports. You go back, even referencing what we were just talking about, you go back to when we were 10, 12 years old, you could turn on any major network, Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, whatever.
Yeah, any of them.
And you could, on Sundays, you had football, and right now during the summer, all those networks, I think, would play baseball, and there was a baseball game on pretty much every night.
But it's random.
Oh, totally random. But depending on the market you lived in, you could usually watch your market team. But I think I'm especially annoyed with baseball right now. Not because I'm this huge, crazy baseball fan, but I can't watch a Twins or a Cubs game to save my life right now, because I pay for YouTube TV. That's really the only thing that I pay for, and I'm paying $80, almost $90 a month for it. And I can't. There's no baseball. I think Sunday Night Baseball is on ESPN once a week, and that's a select game that they pick way in advance. And then I think Fox has some. And then once we get to the playoffs in October, Fox will air a lot of the playoff games, but that's it. There's the other networks are not carrying any baseball games during the day, in the evenings, during the week, or anything like that. It's all on these other networks that you have to pay for out the nose.
And that's the league's problem, because they get these big TV deals with TBS, you know, and nobody has that. The only reason people watch the with the court TV is because March Madness is on there every once in a while. Yeah, it is annoying, and that probably I think is the root to a lot of these quote unquote diehard fans of teams that they live a 14-hour flight away from, is because when their grandpa was watching it, it was either the team closest to them or the Cowboys, because that's who was on TV. Yeah, it is frustrating, and especially because now everybody has their own service that you need to pay for. MLB TV,
Yep.
Sunday Ticket, which Sunday Ticket's pretty sweet, but it's still expensive. It's unnecessarily expensive.
Well, just speaking of football, I saw it was a meme, so it wasn't 100% accurate, but it was funny and definitely true, which is why it's funny. It was Red Foreman from That 70s Show, and they said if Red Foreman paid money to watch every single Packers game, he'd pay I don't know, something ridiculous, $500 a year or something like that. And I'm like, that's the problem, right? And that's why the meme is funny, because Red Foreman was very anti-establishment, do it, his own way and pull up your bootstraps and just, work hard and no nonsense, whatever. And he's a fictional character. He doesn't matter, but it was funny because it's true now. If you want to watch every single NFL game, all of them, all teams, all 32 teams, all however many games there are in the season now, you have to pay probably close to $1,000.
Well, I mean, I think Sunday Ticket's $300-$400-ish dollars, and that's what it is to watch every NFL game, because the ones that aren't on Sunday Ticket are on prime time.
Are all the Thursday night games on Sunday Ticket? The Amazon Prime games?
So they're not all Amazon Prime. That's the thing. You need a handful of services if you want to watch every game.
And I think this year they were going to do one on YouTube for the first time.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the Vikings preseason games is going to be specifically on Prime.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it's just happening more and more every year. These different, I think, didn't Twitter broadcast a game? Within the last 4 or 5-ish years, there was a full game that was exclusive to Twitter back when it was called Twitter.
It's still Twitter. I don't care what Elon calls it. It's still Twitter.
Careful, he could really crush us with.
Well, whatever. We'll go to Blue Sky.
Yeah, we're technically already there. If you follow us on Blue Sky, you're a real one, I guess. Because that's a conversation for another time. Other things we hate about sports. I really think it's kind of annoying and just dumb when people who don't like sports, which is fine. You don't have to like sports. It's grown men playing children's games wearing superhero costumes. I get it. It can be kind of weird. But when people who hate sports just joke about it as if it's the dumbest thing in the world, and they say oh, the sports ball caught a home run on a touchdown, and they say stuff like that and they think they're hilarious, but okay, you don't like sports, I get it, you suck. I really like sports, I love football, and you like other weird books and stuff, that's fine for you.
That's what you chose. That's funny.
But it does really annoy me. Okay, I get it. Everybody gets it. You don't like sports. Just leave it alone.
Yep. No, I agree with you. You don't have to like them, but leave the rest of us alone that do. Unless
you're talking about the WNBA, which is that really sports? I don't know.
Everyone watches women's sports, man. Come on. Get with the times.
Oh, yeah. You are a female sports coach.
I coach female athletes.
You are not a female sports coach. You're a coach of female sports.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I coach females exclusively and only have my entire coaching career. So
interesting.
I am an advocate for women's sports, for sure. Well, I think there's a place for it. Sure. The WNBA is actually you want to argue this for a minute?
It's fine. You get to like it. I'm going to be the person I just said I hate.
You are a walking contradiction.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. My wife all of a sudden apparently is a basketball fan. For one person.
Truth be told, I don't sit here and gush over WNBA games. I'll kind of follow the headlines, and I'll kind of I know Caitlin Clark isn't playing right now or hasn't been playing. I don't know if she's going to play last night or tonight or whatever. But she was hurt. She's been hurt a couple of times this season. So I've followed some of those storylines. Also followed, like, she got into a little bit of a scuffle with some other players from another team, and one of her teammates backed her up in a pretty big way. And so anyways, all of that to say, yeah, it's good to see women's sports moving forward.
Sure. I'll backtrack. Women's basketball is sports. That's I was wrong for saying that.
And let me just add this too. I think just speaking on women's basketball, I think the college game and the pro game have really established themselves as maybe some of the purest form of basketball that we can watch right now. The NBA sucks.
Oh, it's awful.
I hate the NBA. Even trying to watch the Timberwolves, which I kind of got into when they were, in the semifinals, like, or the conference finals, I guess, like, all right, they could do this. And then they didn't because they lost to Oklahoma City. But anyways,
again, another Minnesota team that didn't win a championship.
Even in the college ranks, like, I feel like men's college basketball is a little bit kind of like, I don't know, the players are almost too good to be playing this game. And, like, I've said this for a while now, and I'm probably in a minority, but I think they need to make the court bigger and raise the hoops a little bit, and, make the game a little more challenging instead of having all these, especially in the NBA, having all these like 140, 150 point games. Like, that's just stupid. Nobody plays defense anymore. That's sometimes the most interesting part of a game, is when we get some defense involved and you get teams that are supposed to score 100 and they don't because you've got a really good defense playing them. So I think coming back to women's basketball, I think you see more pure basketball, and less of this, like, dunk show, trick shot. Yeah, we're up by 20, so we might as well do all these alley-oops and just have fun with it, kind of thing. And I don't know. I'm saying all of that as somebody who watches very little basketball outside of men's college basketball.
I think the last women's basketball I witnessed at all was the most recent Iowa national championship game loss, because, like, everybody in the state of Iowa watched that game.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, I guess if you like the WNBA, good for you. That's fine for you. It's weird, but it's fine for you. Anything else? You kind of riffed on hating the NBA, but anything else you hate about sports?
I don't know. I just love sports. I love it.
Yeah, it is hard to find things to hate about, because sports are awesome. It's a good escape.
I think that could be like a part 2, like maybe in the next couple of weeks. We could come back to, like, okay, we talked about all the stuff we hate about sports, so let's talk about the good things, because I think there's way more good things that we could highlight for sure.
I do have one more thing that I hate about sports. And as a frequent viewer of ESPN, I'm interested to hear what you think about my take on this. I don't care for most of the quote-unquote experts out there. And I'm just some dude in your basement right now. I'm not an expert. I don't know everything about everything. But I feel like if you are a talking head on ESPN or, some other sports network, you should know your stuff. And half the time they're just saying things like, oh yeah, it could go this way or it could go that way, and they're just talking a lot of nonsense, and it doesn't make any sense.
They're getting paid way more than we are.
Yeah, they're wearing a suit, and apparently it's gold pants, because Stephen A. Smith said something, or it's gold because someone who has no idea who plays for the Vikings said some weird opinion about the Vikings. I don't like the talking heads that make it seem like they know a lot when really they don't.
And this is why I really wish they would have kept Around the Horn.
Oh, such a good show.
On the show, on the network. That Around the Horn, last episode I think was in May or early June. Not that long ago. I mean, about a month ago. I think they aired their last episode. But the thing I really appreciated about Around the Horn was this kind of revolving cast of journalists from all over the country,
like local journalists,
journalists. So they were like Woody Page was based out of Denver and covered Denver sports pretty much exclusively, but they would all give very objective takes on things, and sometimes their bias would leak through a little bit because
absolutely,
Woody Page is a Broncos fan or a Rockies fan or a Nuggets fan or whatever, but what I liked about it was more pure journalism than what we experienced, just on First Take when Stephen A's, sitting up there. Well, I think that, I do a terrible Stephen A. Smith.
No, I like when you do a Stephen A.
But wisdom has taught me that sometimes the loudest voices aren't always the most trustworthy voices, and I definitely think there are a lot of loud voices that are on those big shows on ESPN now. And just because they're loud doesn't mean they're worth anything.
Yeah.
Like I think of, I don't know if it's First Take or what the show is, but Dan Orlovsky is on quite a bit. Former Lions quarterback, famous for stepping out of the end zone. Jared Allen, I don't even think touched him, but
he
got
just
the
chased
safety.
after him. Yeah.
And Dan Orlovsky had no idea, and he was still, locked and loaded, ready to throw it, and he was, 3 yards out of bounds by that point. Anyways, Stephen A. and Dan Orlovsky get into it all the time during football season, and Dan Orlovsky actually knows his stuff because he played the game, and he has really good insight on like if he they do this all the time where they'll do these deep dives with these guys, and they're prepared for it. It's kind of this prepared bit. I bet you $1 Dan Orlovsky will do one on JJ McCarthy this year, where they'll be like, all right, JJ McCarthy, we're gonna flash back to some of his highlights when he was in college. Here's what he does really well. He's really good. Pocket awareness, blah, blah, blah. He's going to throw around a bunch of vocabulary, and they're going to show highlights in the back while Dan Orlovsky says all these really nice things. But the thing I like about Orlovsky is he backs it up. And he backs it up because he played the position. He's knowledgeable. Stephen A. Smith, I think he's just been a journalist his whole career, which... Okay, you're a successful journalist. You hate the Cowboys. I like that. I appreciate that. I can laugh with you the next day when you're smoking a cigar and laughing at the fact that the Cowboys lost again. That's funny.
It's almost getting old because the Cowboys keep losing, and
it is kind of hilarious. An old bit. It's an old bit.
It's not old yet, but it's almost.
But when he says stuff, there are things that he says where I'm like, there's just zero thought behind that. You're just saying stuff. You're just blowing hot air, and those two actually argue with each other sometimes on, I don't even know what show it is, but it's just shut up, let the guy that actually played the game talk, because he knows what he's talking about. And so those guys are few and far between in the realm of sports journalism now. And again, going back to Around the Horn, I liked that show because not a lot of those guys played, and a lot of them were women, actually. I felt like they did a really good job of bringing in female journalists, but they weren't these hacks that just yelled things, loud noises,
there was a little bit of playing it up a little bit, but it was fun.
But they had to on that show in particular, they had to they had to kind of hunker down on a point and defend it to the death, and for better or worse, that was the position they took.
Or they got muted, and that's okay.
Or they got muted, or they got deducted a bunch of points, or whatever Tony Reale thought. I would maybe agree with you that journalism in sports is kind of in a low spot.
It's
right
not
now.
The highest form of journalism.
No.
And that's fine. If you love watching all things ESPN and taking in all the cartoony bits that they have, and that's fine. You can't have nerds crunching numbers all the time. But we should have more sports science and less Stephen A. Smith.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, I still watch ESPN quite a bit, but a lot of the times it's just background. It's noise. It's I'm folding laundry, I'm doing the dishes, I'm doing something else around the house, and it's just on, and I'm just sometimes halfway paying attention to what they're saying. So
Before we wrap up, Ev, I have one more question, kind of a callback to one of our earlier segments this episode. If you had to be right, and you don't have to say the number, who do you think is the next Viking to appear on this top 100 between now and September? The next one, not the highest ranked, not the most of them or all of them that will appear, but who do you think is the next one?
So we got Aaron Jones at 98 currently, and we've only had 4 revealed. It's definitely not going to be Justin Jefferson. I think he's a top 20 player.
Easily. He's been as high as number 2 a few years ago.
And I would even maybe go as far as to say he's a top 15 player. I definitely think he's in that upper echelon of the league. Who is the next one? I would say maybe Harrison Smith.
Okay.
I think he's still in the top 100, but he's obviously getting older. He's nearing the end of his career. We've all kind of been waiting on pins and needles every season now for the last couple of years. Is he going to call it quits? Is he going to hang it up? Is he going to be done? But I still think he deserves a spot in that top 100. He is a football player through and through. He has a nose for the ball. He is extremely smart when it comes to playing his position. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him. I don't even know his history in the top 100. I don't know where he's ranked.
I think last year he was like 93rd overall. Okay. I said it earlier in the episode. He was like 95th or 93rd just last year. But I mean,
I could see him there again.
Sure. Okay.
I could see him there again.
All right. I'm going to go a little off kilter here. I think there's going to be a gap. I think the next one will probably be about middle of the pack, and I think it's going to be Van Ginkel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just watched some highlights recently. I found these, you can, on YouTube, I don't even know who puts them out. I could probably figure it out and post a link to it. But it's like this, like, just highlight reel.
Okay.
And I found one. It was like a 53-minute long video. It was like top 100 plays from the 2024 season, and both of Van Ginkel's pick sixes.
Oh, nice.
I think it was against the Giants and then later against the Jets.
Yeah.
Were on that list. And that's another, like, you know, if I'm doing the dishes or if I'm, you know, cleaning the house or whatever, I'll throw that on. And those are fun too, because, like, if you know how long it is, like that 53-minute video, I'm like, all right, I have an hour to get stuff done. I'm just going to throw this on and I'll work in the background, and I can, like, stop and, like, admire, like, oh yeah, I remember that one play. I remember that Van Ginkel pick six. That was awesome. Or that Justin Jefferson, you remember that 90 whatever yard against the 49ers? That was another good one.
That is funny, because that's my quote-unquote ESPN. That's my jam. I will go to YouTube, and if I'm just looking to have, like, something on, it'll be the, like, highlights. But it'll be something like Justin Jefferson's top catches of 2021, or, you know, like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll be watching that. The wife will come in and she'll be like, are you re-watching football games? And I'll be like, it's even better. I'm just watching highlights of one player throughout a full season. And she'll, like, roll her eyes and realize she's stuck with me for the rest of her life, and then go on and do whatever she was doing. So
there you go. If you were stuck with this beer for the rest of your life, do you think you could do that?
Yeah, you know, some people say, like, oh, I could eat this every day, all day, and I'd never get sick of it. And then immediately they're like, yeah, I'd be sick of it after, like, 2 days. This beer, I could drink it. I could have one every day.
It's good.
And be perfectly fine with it.
Yeah. Field Day double decocted Czech Dark Lager. Not sure what all that means, but it's super good. 4.6. So it doesn't really pack a punch.
No, it's
in terms of alcohol.
It's enough
content,
though. I'm feeling its effects a little bit. You know, I'm not like I'll be fine to drive home, but yeah, after 2, it's very pleasant.
Yeah. Good flavors, kind of complex and rich and dark, which is pretty much everything I like in a beer. So.
And everything they say it is. So
yeah.
Having the bromance from Field Day last week and then this Czech Dark from Field Day this week, maybe we just need to keep going on a Field Day run, and we'll go on a Field Day and
have a day, a Field Day specifically.
And we'll just see how many of theirs we can have in a row, or, you know, in closeness to each other. And because having these two, I think these are the only 2 from them I've had. They're both home run. So yeah, I like it a lot. Field Day, thanks again for making a great beer. I will gladly have this one again.
Yeah, same. I mean, I've already had it once before today, but I will definitely seek this one out.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, listeners, if you want to support us even more, you can do what you're doing right now. Just keep listening, watching our episodes on YouTube, listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We have a website, theskolhop.com. We've got merch on there. We have a lot of our old episodes on there, but it will be updated someday, something I said last week and probably the week before. And if you want to interact with us, where can they interact with us some more?
Pretty much anywhere, social media wise.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook, Twitter. It will always be Twitter, not X. TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, you name it, we're out there. If you send us a message on your favorite platform, we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
We'll reach out. So.
Yep. Our email address, too, if you want to reach out that way, is theskolhop@gmail.com. And I guess we don't usually say this, but don't forget to reach out to Big Top Ventures.
Yeah. The surprise reminder of the sponsorship.
That's really just me telling you, Evan, don't forget to reach out to Big Top Ventures. I'm telling you, one of our good friends is going to book before you do, and
maybe I'll book the same time as him, and we'll make a little family vacay of it.
Do it. You won't.
That'd be so much fun.
All right, man. Well, this was a fantastic beer. I liked it a lot. I think you did too. Episode was pretty good. You might say best episode yet.
Skol.
Nothing would make me happier than if you were just suddenly like, oh.